separation. We're going to open our meeting with prayer. So wherever you may be, if you could just bow your head silently and join us in prayer. Prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, thine aid do we beseech for help. O Allah, guide us along the straight path, the path upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, and not the path upon whom wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen.
Ameen. Assalamu alaikum. And to those who are joining us that are practicing the holy fast of Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak. We want to welcome you to Project Separation, Building Our Promised Land monthly series. And we are so excited tonight. This, if you have not joined us before, you're in for a treat. And if you joined us last week, you'll know that we're moving into now part 2 because it was such a phenomenal presentation. And there's so much to build on that we're going into part 2 of the Detroit Mecca project, rebuilding the wasted cities. And this time it's going to be really special because we're going to deal with a call to action as we move into, we're in 2022 now. We have to be more focused and directed in our movements. And we have to pick up the pace. As we can see everything unfolding, it is really past time for us to separate. And so tonight will be a little different in that we normally start with videos, giving an idea of what our presenters do. But because they're going to each do special presentations, we won't do the videos this time, but I encourage all the listeners and all the viewers to go back to www.projectseparation.com and review all the previous Project Separation monthly series so that you can kind of be brought up to speed and see the different areas that we fit in. So I'm not going to be before you long because we're going to go into the speakers, but I just want to say this to lay the foundation. One of the things that was discussed on the project town hall meetings throughout the country by our sister student minister, Ava Muhammad, who is the national spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. She talked frequently about overpopulating an area, taking control by overpopulating. This works. How do we know it works? We see Chinatown. We already know what goes on there. We know who controls it. We see it happening with the Mormons. They took over an entire state. So overpopulation, which means directed, targeted movements. And that's a little bit of what we want to get into, and then what it takes to build that community and sustain it. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction of our presenters this evening, and then we're going to get right in it. We have joining us again, we have our former National Secretary and a son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and founder of the Detroit Mecca Project, Brother Kamal Muhammad. We also have with us Student Minister Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad. Not only is he the Southwest Regional Representative of the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but he is an urban planner extraordinaire. He has a consulting company, and we'll be able to give you information on that later. We also have with us Brother Fahim Muhammad. He is also a design builder, and he joined us last time, and he's also based out of Houston, Texas, and his work is phenomenal. If you go back to last month's program, you can get a view of some of his projects that he has worked on. And last but not least, we welcome a newly joining us, but not a stranger to any of this, and especially this project, is our sister Nina Shabazz. I'm so excited. She is an urban planner. She is brilliant. She is just phenomenal. So we are so looking forward to hearing from all of our presenters this evening, and we're going to get right into it so we can maximize this time. So what we want to start with this evening is we're going to start with a call to action right off the bat. So we're going to bring to the forefront our brother Kamal Muhammad, the founder of the Detroit Mecca project. And guess what? He's going to actually show you homes that are available right now. So when I said a call to action, I mean it. I mean, you can get homes right now. And then we're going to go into another element that's going to be necessary for this project to grow and flourish. So we're going to pull up a little video, and Brother Kamal will take us through the video, but he can say a few words to us about what he's been doing, how he got there, why we're at the Detroit Mecca project, and then that will take us into the homes that we'll view this evening. Just a little bit of his stock. Brother Kamal.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here on the Elevated Places again. I thank you for the invitation, and I thank Student Minister Ava Muhammad. I mean, I knew when we were all called ministers, so it's kind of hard for me to switch back, and she is such a great student minister. I must say that she has been behind the Detroit Mecca project since I first presented it to the Executive Council and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He was the first, of course, and then I must say that Sister Minister Ava has been a wonderful, wonderful force behind the scenes helping me, I mean, at every turn, and I thank her so much. I want to just state that I came up with this idea through the help of Allah by trying to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in giving the believers some way to benefit as the nation benefits. And we tried several ways, but one of the things that I came up with was real estate, because we are so far behind every other group in this country when it comes to wealth. And one of the greatest ways to build wealth is through real estate. So when I saw this collapse that happened in Detroit, I took it as a sign that maybe we should step in and try to get a piece of this land for ourselves, especially since our founder, I mean, the nation started there. Master Farad himself came to Detroit for us. So I said, well, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we should step in. Maybe Allah is bringing these prices down so that we can step in and take advantage of it. And then, of course, I saw all of the scriptures talking about the wasted cities and how Allah's people and priests will come and rebuild those cities. And I came up with this idea through Allah, and I brought it to Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and I sent him a letter and I described the whole thing, and I didn't hear anything from him. So I thought he must think this brother's just biting off too much. He can't do this. But I called him up and I asked him if he read my letter. He said, yes, brother, I read it. And I said, well, did you like it? He said, did I like it? No, brother, I loved it. And from that point, it was on. I took it and I started running with it. I didn't know what I was doing. And I told the minister, I said, but minister, I don't really know how to do this, but I'm doing my best. I'm buying a property. I'm trying to see what I can do to make sure this is successful, that this will work. And he said, brother, don't worry. Allah put this message through you for me. And you are the one that he chose. So you are the one that he'll send helpers to. And now, I mean, I've got student sister minister Ava. I've got student regional minister Halim. I've got Sister Nina. I've got everyone here helping me. And I thank Allah for all of you. So this is how it started. I bought over, at this point, I think I bought over, since 2010, I bought over 70 properties in Detroit and put over 50 of them in the hands of people, not all of them believers of the Nation of Islam. Because of course we can't discriminate, but of course I try to put it in the hands of our people first. But we've helped many people get real estate. I've tried to help our people as much as I can, and I think we've got plenty that I have helped, and they're very happy that they are property owners in Detroit. Even we have people from England that have bought property. We have people from California, Northern California that bought property. We've got people in Chicago that bought property. So we've got many people that have decided that, just like white people, you can buy property anywhere. You don't have to live in the city. Of course, if you live in the city and you want to use that property as your primary residence, you can do that. But please do not let the fact that you do not live in Detroit cause you to not buy and invest in this property. Every meeting that I've been in where I discussed this this project, every Savior's Day that I've been able to present this, I ended by stating this: buy yourself some property in Detroit now while the prices are low. It will be to your great advantage to do so. So I'll repeat this again: buy while the prices are low. This is a opportunity for you. Please do not miss it. So I hope that wasn't too long, sister. But
oh no, sir, that was a very beautiful overview. So we have a mix then of people who purchase the properties for investment purposes and those that have moved in. Do you have, before we show the houses, I'd like to ask a question. Do you have people who originally came in as buying it as an investment property and then decided, you know what, I'm going to move here? And what was maybe the motivating factor for that?
I certainly do. Everyone at the beginning bought it as an investment idea. And that was because it was so new and the property values were so low that they were able to just try it out. But all of them, I think, had in the back of their mind, as I spoke more and more about it, and as the minister spoke more about it, everyone had it in the back of their mind to, hey, let's create this community in Detroit, which is what we gradually began focusing on. So yes, I have several people that have bought property in Detroit and have moved there. And I thank Allah for them and the trust that they've given me.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and show some of the homes, and then you can also tell us, you know, what type of homes to expect and something about the area maybe. So let me share my screen here. I'm screen sharing. Okay, so I wanted us to start though by showing us that this is right in line with what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stated at Savior's Day in 2016. He said, Detroit can be the new Mecca. It can be a great city. And we don't have to move out to the white community, but let's make the hood what we desire it to be. So this, of course, is right in line, as you said. So this is our first home.
Yes, ma'am. This is a home. It's on the west side of Chicago, which is where most of our homes are. I bought these homes in a certain area near the Grand River Greenfield kind of area in Detroit. This is another one on the west side. These are all bought near where the original mosque was. It's not too far from there. It's not too far from the new mosque there now. So I wanted to, at first, I didn't know where to buy. So I bought near the mosque, and I bought in an area that I knew the city was going to focus on, and that's this Grand River Greenfield area in Detroit. So this particular home is a 5-bedroom home that's in Detroit. 5-bedroom, 2 baths, and it's a beautiful home for sale. I don't give the addresses because I found that security purposes are better left with the addresses, contacting me for the addresses, because we don't want anyone to get upset and damage these homes or do anything because they don't like us. Of course, everyone likes us, right?
Yeah, they love us.
Yes, of course they do. So this is a beautiful 5-bedroom home that still needs a little rehab right now, but it is for sale now. And this price, actually most of the prices now, unfortunately, have gone up for these homes here. So for the rehab, the version of this house, it will be about $60,000 $60,000 to $65,000. But as you can see, a 5-bedroom home in, well, as you know, a 5-bedroom home in Detroit, in New York or Chicago or Los Angeles or Houston would be, I would say, probably 3 to 4 times that amount. So that's why I say take advantage and buy these properties now.
Oh, absolutely. I can bear witness to that, because even just down here in Memphis in the South, which normally used to have lower real estate, you can't get a home in comparison to that at that price. We're talking at least $400,000 for a 5-bedroom. So yes, let's jump on it. Next home.
So this home is in a neighborhood again on the west side. There's a lot next door which I can buy for $100. I know a lot of believers have been asking me, well, Brother Kamal, do you have any properties with more land? Well, yes, this would be an example of one of them. This is a 3-bedroom home here. And this one will probably go for, at least in my homes, I make up the prices that you can see. I based on what's in the area, but this one will probably go for about $50,000.
You said 50,000? And
Yes,
the
ma'am.
lot, that's
This
the
is a
lot to the
3-bedroom.
right?
The lot is to the right. Yes, ma'am.
Wow, for just $100?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a whole garden. You could feed your whole family.
That's the idea. Yes,
Just
ma'am.
for that right there. All right. And the final home.
This one is, as you can see, this is a home that needs a lot of rehab because we certainly don't think we like that green color. So we would paint the home on the outside and do some rehab on the inside. And this home is probably about a $40,000 home. It's a 3-bedroom home as well. And it's in a neighborhood. This is actually, Brother Halim would like to know, this is actually in Highland Park, which is where we love to try to do a community there and build what we call our innovation corridor and our Muslim community in Highland Park. So this is the Highland Park property that we own.
Oh, excellent. I want everybody to keep that name in mind, Highland Park, because we're going to delve into that, because again, we're talking about directed focus movement. When we overpopulate an area, then we start to gain control. I know here in my area or wherever we are around here, if I see my beautiful Latino, Mexican brothers moving into my area when I move the neighborhood, I already know there's about to be stores, shops, barber shops, everything is going to come along. They're already of the mindset of, well, we're going to open up what's necessary to supply our needs. And that's the mindset that we have to take as well. And that's why we're moving in this direction that we're moving in. This is our time, and this is what we must do for ourselves. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen at this moment, because the other important element that we want to talk about is, how do you finance this? What do you do? And what's one of the major impediments right now to growing the Detroit Mecca project in the way that we need to grow it?
Well, you mentioned finance, and that is the major impediment that we have. We definitely need money. I mean, we're trying to buy either land or property or both to develop land. I have, with Allah's grace, I have had people contact me. I don't know if it was this previous Zoom meeting that we had. It probably was, because
yes.
I think so, because I had people contact me with some very nice financing deals in the millions, which is what we need. We also have formed a not-for-profit corporation, which will be able to take donations. It's the Detroit Mecca Project Incorporated, not-for-profit. We also have banks that we're working with that we believe will help finance our buyers and ourselves. So we have a lot of, lately, we have a lot of opportunities available for us that are opening up. You know, I mentioned to the minister at one point when I was needing that injection of faith, I guess, because he's really an example for all of us. And I went to him and I said, well, Brother Minister, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's just, you know, it's taking so long. I'm not getting the help I need. And he paused a second. He said, well, brother, you know, Noah preached 150 years. and then one day when he was about to give it all up, he was tired and he asked God for his help, and he was about to give it all up, and they looked off in the distance and there was a rain cloud. So he told me that, and it gave me extra energy, and I kept going. So I just will say this again to believers. I'm going to keep saying this. Now is the time to take advantage of this. Allah is making a way for you. I know many of you want property. Many of you have never had property. I've sold property to people who have never owned a house before. And those of you who want a second house, do it. Buy 3 homes, buy 4 homes, get as many as you can. And let's take advantage of this opportunity for ourselves that Allah is giving us to build our own community that we control. And how do we control it? I mean, I got to say this because I don't want anybody listening to think we're going to come in and do some kind of coup or something. But how do we control it? We control it by coming in and being ourselves. We meet our neighbors. We form block clubs. Then the block clubs become neighborhood clubs, and we organize. As Muslims, you will find that the people will be attracted to you because you will come in a different manner, in a different way. You will behave and act differently. That's attractive to them. They will feel that you are a good influence on that community, and they will build around you. And our plan, of course, when you see people who, like many people call me, who want to come and create a garden that they have next door to them in like one of these homes. When your neighbors in Detroit see that, then they'll start doing the same thing. They'll emulate you and take on your character as we're taught. So that's the plan.
You know, and that's on the website. And I just put the website in the chat if anybody wants to go to it. But there's a video of a brother expressing how, because he was such a good neighbor, he was doing things for his community. And they in turn started doing things for him. They provided him with a lawnmower. They did certain things for him because he had a care. Because the other thing that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan instructed us is to make our communities a safe and decent place to live. And that requires maintenance. The last thing that I'd like to ask you before we go on to our next segment is, we had a conversation at one point, and you mentioned about some of the type of people that you needed in terms of those who know how to go after money. What are some of the ways in which you'd like to see that happen?
Yes, ma'am. I need, I won't say we, because I have a team. We need people that are expert in fundraising, whether it be crowd funding, whether it be funding for not-for-profit entities, or whether it be financial mortgage and loan officers. We need that because we're held back as Black people, mainly because we don't have access to the funds that we need. We have the ideas, we have the will, we have the good heart, we have the integrity, but most oftentimes we're lacking the funding. So yes, we need people that can help us in that area. We need real estate agents. I want to give my real estate agent in Detroit, she's a real estate broker now, get her information out because she is helping me and has helped me from the beginning. Her name is Sister Letitia Muhammad. I'm going to give her office telephone number out. That is 248-905-1010. 248-905-1531. I'll repeat that, 248-905-1531. And her email address is myrealestateteam and the numeral 1 @gmail.com. That's myrealestateteam1 @gmail.com. Please contact her for any information on the homes that I've listed or that I haven't listed, because I have more. But yes, I need help, period. I mean, I've got some great helpers with brother student regional minister Halim, sister Nina, the urban planners. I have builders and architects. We have, and I know that just a call across the nation, we'll have all of the technical expertise we need. But yes, we need people that can help us raise money, big money, serious money, as they say, because we have serious work to do.
Yes, sir. So we put the information for Sister Letitia in the chat. Make sure that you screenshot it or copy and paste it before you leave off the call this evening. But you can also go to the DetroitMeccaProject.com. And at the end of the program, we'll give you even more information on ways that you can help and participate. So at this time, I want to thank you for that presentation. We're going to bring forward our dear sister Nina, and she's going to go a little bit more into the Highland Park corridor and that conceptual model that we're looking to not only utilize in the Highland Park corridor, but it can also be a blueprint that can be taken to other places. Just the whole concept of building what's necessary, as was pointed out in the previous monthly meeting, equity-based housing, as student minister Dr. Halim Muhammad spoke to us about, what an equity-based model looks like. So at this time, we're going to bring Sister Nina on, if you'd like to say a few words before we start, and I will bring up the Highland Park Quarter presentation. Sister Nina, are you there with us?
I'm sorry, I muted myself and I forgot to unmute. Assalamu alaikum, and I thank student minister Ava for having this platform that we can all come together with our talents and our our gifts and create the movement. And I think it's a train and it's picking up speed, and so I'm just thankful to be a part of it. I'm thankful that Brother Kamal is reached out to me to get help in terms of an urban planner, and I've been sought out on several projects actually. And most people don't really know what an urban planner does. They have some idea, but essentially an urban planner is someone who kind of write zoning codes, but we essentially kind of design and lay out how cities should perform, how they should be developed, and how they should grow. We look at uses, how the city will function with the people, how they will function with other uses, to make sure that property values are upheld. Currently in my role, I'm actually a military planner, and so my background is regional urban planning, but I'm actually working as a contractor for the DoD as a master planner for the military. And so their concerns are a little bit more towards, they do focus on infrastructure, but they also focus on fortification and secure, obviously security and stuff like that. And so similar how a city works, an installation it functions as a small city. So that's my background. I was an urban planner in Southern California for over 10 years. 15 years, and so now I'm on the East Coast, right outside Washington D.C., and I am happy to be a part of this project, and will answer any questions you have. I'm working on a project similarly in terms of growth and having a place of our own in Zambia as the urban planner for a repatriation project, and I think I discussed it with you a little bit, Sister Donna, but that's kind of what I'm doing currently. Really happy to see this project in Highland Park go forward. And if you want to go ahead and bring up the slides, I can kind of talk you through the vision that we came up for Highland Park. So essentially, we know that you know, cities have always had a wonderful past. You know, we know, you know, Ford played a central role in some of the growth and development of Highland Park, and Detroit was the Motor City. And so basically we want to honor the past while we reimagine the future. And so basically we wanted to create a innovation corridor. You'll see some of the green jobs. You see the brother in the middle with the solar. And we wanted to kind of illustrate what can be imagined there. You can go to the next slide. So, you know, obviously Highland Park and Detroit proper has beautiful homes, you know, very stately. But we also know that, you know, a lot of them have been derelict. And there are certain blocks in Detroit and also Highland Park that literally look like a bomb has gone off. And you'll see slides, I think, if you can go to the next slide. So as I was saying, there's a lot of neglect, this is Hamilton Avenue, kind of our vision. Looking down Hamilton Avenue, this is the street that we wanted to utilize as the corridor. And we have empty lots to the left, to the right. You know, you can go down city block after city block and you'll see, lots that just have, are waiting for the perfect artist to paint a canvas. And so that's what we intend to do for Highland Park. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we know works for a city is signage. You know, having some kind of entrance, something that shows the identity of a city, of a place. That was the corner, the corner that had nothing on it. The slide to the picture to the left, that is the corner reimagined. And the street that we saw, the houses that had nothing on it. What I thought we could do, if you look to the far right picture, I thought that we could do what we call kind of a cottage development, whereas we gently increase the density of a place while not necessarily increasing the infrastructure costs. And so brother Halim, he mocked my cottage development. He thought it was, he thought it was cute, but he likes to jab at me because I'm small. He was like, "Oh, you want some houses that represent, your stature." And so I know they have huge houses in Texas, but these houses can work for empty nesters, and they can also work for starter homes too. And what you'll notice is that with the cottage courts, you don't have the laborious task of having a lawn, your own lawn to take care of. You have a centralized court, which fosters and facilitates, neighbors gathering. It's a common area. And so the idea of a cottage court, it would be for seniors in this particular development, so that seniors can feel protected. They're intricate part of the neighborhood. And because we know our seniors and our pioneers and our elders add so much to so much quality and so much to the fabric of a neighborhood. Next slide.
I love that was taken into consideration, though, not to stop you for a moment, but the seniors, our people, elderly people, because we are having problems with them having safe housing. And a lot of times they're in high rises. And so this is a very beautiful concept.
Thank you. Thank you. That was I believe that was the previous slide.
For the signage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. And so knowing that, we desire variety. We looked at some of the housing, and like Brother Kamal was saying, a lot of the houses just need some TLC. They just need some someone to come in and care for them. I mean, these houses are, very ornate. They're very, they have good bones, and many of them, will outlive us if we really take care of the house. Some of these houses are over 100 years old, and it shows you the integrity that was, that was considered when the houses were built. You can go to the next slide. So basically what we want to do is redevelop the vacant or underused lots and increase density. So this particular lot to the left, where there's, this house that's been condemned, the slide in the middle is kind of a reimagining of what density could look like. You could a lot that's, an acre in size, with nothing, and basically you can have coffee shops, you can have apartments on top, cafes and that sort of thing, and just really bring in, vibrancy to the city. Next slide.
We know this can happen because we see it all the time. And under the name of gentrification, it happens all the time.
And the thing about it is that I think that the conversation about gentrification is something that, obviously I think we can have at a later date, but why can't we be the ones to come in and make our neighborhoods look like the ones that we see, Becky and Bob turn it into when they take over a neighborhood. We can increase our own values. And so I think that gentrification, I think it's a topic that we really should talk about, obviously at a different forum, but it is worth thinking that when we invest in ourselves, we can increase our own property values by taking care of it. So anyway, the 3 R's that we have: restore, remodel, reinvest. The properties in the middle, what we want to do is attract, professionals, dentists. You'll have these are called live work lofts. So usually you have your loft upstairs, your apartment, your dwelling upstairs, and your practice downstairs. And the thing about it, the funny thing is that this is not a new concept. There was a quote I'll never forget when I was an undergrad. I think he was one of the executives of Sony, and he was talking about, they were talking about walkable cities and that sort of thing. And he said, it's funny, they have all these new sayings for what we would just call downtown, because that's how it used to be. People used to, have your shops upstairs, your family store upstairs, and then they would have their merchandise or their merchants downstairs. And so there's not really a new concept, because we know that they aren't making any more land. And so we're basically just kind of, repackaging old ideas. And more people are starting to move from the suburbs into the city center. And basically you have what they call mixed use developments and live work lofts. And so basically
Walkable's looking real good right now with these gas prices.
Right.
Really good.
You have a lot of people fleeing the suburbs, coming back to the city center. The other thing that we wanted to have with some of the vacant lots are urban gardens, to kind of answer the question for the food deserts to sustainable sustenance. So, obviously you can't get everything in an urban garden, because you wouldn't be able to have like animal husbandry or goats or chickens and stuff like that. But I think it would be a really good idea to show, our children, just have their hands and literally get their hands dirty in terms of, how food is grown. And, I don't know how many people have gardens and how many people try to grow things. It's not easy. It's more than an ocean. And I really respect farmers more than I could possibly say. I mean, I fight with deer, I grow something will grow, and, I'll go out there and the deer has like stolen 3 of my watermelon or ate all my corn up. And so, it's one of those things that you do, when you are planting and working with the soil, you do have appreciation for it. So I think that urban gardens are something that, young and old can really, really benefit from, not just health-wise, but I think emotional and even exercise. I mean, health-wise, gardening burns calories and stuff like that. So we intend to, there's this lot on Florence and Hamilton. It's a very large lot. So we were thinking that could be, fashioned into some kind of urban garden, and, you can have your farmers markets. And so, which is also a really big draw for communities. And then that also is a draw for other communities to come around and like, oh, there's a farmers market, on weekdays on Hamilton Avenue. So I think the idea that we had is to have an innovation corridor, but also, bring uses that will attract people from, various parts of the city.
Yes.
Next slide. So one of the things that we know that we would have to do, we'd have to do what we call zone changes. They don't currently have, kind of like any kind of transit-oriented development or urban. This is a plan that another consultant came up with, and the city, wanted to adopt it, and so, but they would have to undergo zone changes. So that's the current adopted zoning. And next slide. And so we're thinking of adding a cottage park development to the proposed zoning amendment, which is what I was alluding to, because this would help increase density, provide a stable, safe environment for our senior communities. And, I think they would be kind of in the middle of an established community, which I think would benefit the residents and also the occupants of the cottage development. Next slide.
I'm sorry.
And so, so we were just talking about some of the benefits of, having a cottage development. It kind of minimizes sprawl, and it maximizes the current infrastructure. And it's an efficient use of space. And like I said, as the need for less space and less yard, it's seniors or, empty nesters, they don't necessarily want a whole yard to mow and to take care of and stuff like that. So I think a smaller footprint just leads to less demands on the grid. Is just more efficient, and many developments are looking at ways to be resilient, given given global warming, climate change, and all of the pull that we have on our electrical grid. So I think some of the smaller footprints are another goal for cottage development.
Yes.
Next slide. And so we're also doing like a business incubator zone. And this is kind of like a wayfinding signage, because, the other thing that a lot of really good cities do well that are successful, they have really good signage. They have interesting signage too. And it tells you, it encourages walking as well. It encourages, like, if something is, 0.5 miles, and you're like, okay, I'm trying to get 10,000 steps in, you'll be more prone to walk there. Oh, it's only, essentially, quarter of a mile, or it's, a half a block. So wayfinding signage is really important for street improvements, as well as adding that you can't really quantify it in terms of how much return you get on your value, but a lot of really good cities, that's what they do right. And so I thought that was an important thing to add to the innovation corridor. Next slide.
Yeah, this is really critical information that we're getting, and there's actually quite a few more slides. We're going to kind of ease through some of them pretty rapidly as we get ready to go into the next segment. There's, as we said at the outset, there's so much information, there's so much planning, and we have amazing professionals with us that are laying this out for those of us who've never experienced or don't really know what goes into planning and development. So we want to keep this at the forefront of our mind, that these are all necessary components to really making these safe and decent communities that we want and taking on. So not quite sure how many slides are left, but we'll kind of go through and hit some more of the highlights as we go into the next segment. So I know it talked about through job creation, which you hit, which is critical.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, business incubation zones, those are kind of like the WeWorks, other things that, kind of foster with, they come together with, other enterprising agencies. You can, attract tech heads and that sort of thing. So that's kind of our thought process with creating a business incubation zone. You can go to the next slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, health, safety, all of that. And we talked about the innovation corridor, what we want to attract and the why. So we can go ahead and go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Out.
I didn't mean to move that.
Yeah. So health and safety obviously is important. Security, recreation. So one of the things that we were thinking about, you can go to the next slide. So adding things like, disguise cameras. I know everyone, they both laughed at me for putting this rock, with a hidden camera, but there's a really favorite mall of mine in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They have these rocks, but they pipe music through them, and they're also there was also security. So I just thought that was kind of a neat way to kind of couch security and create ambiance. Next slide. And so recreation, we would have like tennis courts, basketball courts, hiking trails. Michigan is beautiful and it has so many different hiking trails. And so I think R&R will definitely be a huge component, in our design. Next slide.
Okay.
I think that might be it. I think there might be one more slide.
So this is wonderful. What I want to know before we go on to the next presenter, just from those that are in the program right now, just the little icon where you can raise your hand if that's like the type of community you'd like to live in. Would you feel safe and secure there? Is there something that you would want to be a part of? Do you want your family to live there? Would you like your grandmother to live there? Look at that. It looks like we have an overwhelming support of it. So as we said, this program today is about a call to action. So you see all those hands up, Sister Nina, you see some presenters, you see all those hands up. So we're ready. The time is at hand. So it's time to do it. So I want to thank you for that portion of of this presentation. And to bring on our next two speakers, I want to bring to you our guest moderator. We have an exciting special guest moderator this evening. He is our student minister, Amin Muhammad. He's over the Durham Mosque in North Carolina. He's a businessman and he's just, a phenomenal presenter, and he's going to take us into the next part of the program.
Thank you, Sister Donna, much appreciated. And I thank Brother Kamal and Sister Nina for their presentations. And I mean, they had me so inspired that, I'm almost considering leaving Durham, right? So it's beautiful to see what is happening. I see how much, and I'm looking at faces as we're going, and I can see how everybody, the light is coming on in their minds, just like my light was coming on, just things that maybe, we hadn't even considered as we are talking about building a new reality. We're blessed to have with us the student minister, Dr. Abdullah Halim Muhammad, who is, not only is he a brilliant brother and loving brother, I appreciate him, I love him much. He's on it, he's on it. And as I listened to what they were sharing and giving us visuals and things that maybe we hadn't even thought about in terms of architecture and how we want things to look, and things that maybe we hadn't heard before, zone changes and innovation corridors, and maybe we heard of urban gardens, but you know, there was a lot discussed and things to think about in terms of health, and safety, and recreation. So we want to hear from Brother Halim, but especially in his expertise, and also I would say his expertise even in the ministry. You know, could you kind of bring us up to speed or help us to think about and reflect over, you know, the 9 ministries that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has worked so hard trying to get us as members, especially of the Nation of Islam, but even the broader Black community, how these ministries can help us facilitate what we've heard so far this evening. Hit your mute button.
I thought I did.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I bear witness there is no God but Allah. I bear witness and Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for allowing me to serve and to work my salvation out. Thank the Executive Council. I want to thank Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad, my sister in the ministry. I'm going to get right to it. Sister Donna won't believe it, but I'm going to get right to it. So let me share my screen, brothers and sisters, because I'm going to paint in broad strokes. I'm going to give you a big picture framework, but I'm coming right from the divine instructions we received from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2005 at the Millions More movement. It's Project Separation, Community Development, and the ministries. I'm going to talk about these ministries, as Brother Ahmad pointed out. Thank you, Brother Minister, Student Minister. We need some of this earth we can call our own, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. We want to build a nation that will be recognized as a nation that will be self-respecting and receive respect of other nations of the earth. He teaches us in Message of the Black Man. Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when we were in Africa at the Black Star Square in Accra, Ghana, he said the most important ingredient of leadership is vision. Because when you have a vision, Brother Kamal, you can call people of talent to that vision. And it's not necessary to have degrees and all the expertise yourself, but do have the vision. And from the vision, you can call the people that are necessary to implement the vision. The vision and blueprint already exists, brothers and sisters. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It already exists. It's already been given to us. We already have what we need in terms of a blueprint and the vision.
Look at that.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Look at that.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already been done. And he's already, look, we have, dear Holy Apostle, we're talking about in the 70s.
Look at that.
He has it all laid out for us. And all we have to do is just follow the blueprint and follow the vision that he already gave to us. Let me go right to my presentation. In 2005, after Hurricane Katrina, we came together in the Millions More movement and we assembled a full spectrum of Black thought that was amazing based upon, unfortunately, a tragedy of Katrina. And we have to now be proactive, brothers and sisters. We must be unified and organized. The difference between a tropical storm and a Cat 5 hurricane, Mr. Farrakhan teaches us, is his level of organization. So we got to get organized. So we know about the ministries that have been laid out for us: agriculture, education, information, health, trade, commerce, defense, justice, arts and culture, science and technology, all of them guided by spiritual development and ethics and moral. So you can go on www.noi.org, the ministries, go on the website, look up the ministries, and they'll give you each detail of each of the ministries' broad mission statement, if you will. But our job, brothers and sisters, now is to be servants. It's not to be over anything, but really to be servants of the people. Is responsible for providing public service in a specialized field of government led by a senior public servant known as a minister, Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said they're all the ministers, male and females, not just those of us who pick up the Quran and preach on the rostrum on Sundays. The ministry is everybody that's on this line right now. You have been now recruited in the ministry. Let me move on. Agriculture. We have to control the logistical supply chain from the field to the meal, brothers and sisters. And that is whether it's a home garden, a local farm, a farmer's market, a supermarket, or a food delivery service, we got to control the logistical food chain. Now, whether we're talking about building a community outside in a rural area, say a greenfield community or a farm community or an agrarian urbanism where you can have city living, city life, but country living. Or we could be talking about urban agriculture with hoop houses, raised bed gardens, as you were seeing. Or we can retrofit some of the warehouses and other industrial buildings that were left over in Detroit, and we can turn them into vertical farms, where you could take a building that is a quarter of an acre or half an acre and go up 3 stories.
Yeah.
And then what do you have? You have acres and acres of farmland inside of the city. In terms of education, Master Fard Muhammad named our school system the University of Islam. Now, you need to ask yourself the question, you can do this afterwards, what's the difference between a college and a university? In a university, you have colleges. So he gave us a vision that was broad. It's not about just an elementary school or a high school or even a college. It's about having law school, medical school, school of theology, school of engineering, school of architecture in our own educational system. Information. We know today that we have been bombarded with propaganda, particularly about the vaccine. And now the drumbeats of war. Literally, I don't know, and I'm being a little facetious, Brother Minister, but I think maybe we send Vladimir Putin a thank you call for curing COVID, because we hardly hear
That's
about
right.
it.
Hardly hear about it, right?
What happened to it anymore? So we have to gather our own information and disseminate our own information. We have to control the information, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that words matter. So we got to have our own ministry of information. Do you see yourself in any of these, sister and brother? That's what this presentation is about. Give you some mass. Look for yourself in these ministries. Health and Human Services. We need nonprofits for emergency shelters, senior programs, daycare centers, food pantries, multi-service nonprofits, group homes, soup kitchens. But most of all, we need hospitals and clinics.
Yes.
And my beloved revolutionary brothers and sisters who may be tuning in today, who want to take up arms against our enemy, I understand that. But when you get wounded, where are you going? Who's going to care for you? Who's going to give you triage? Who's going to heal up your wounds? You're going to go back to the very man you're shooting at to get treated? We got to have hospitals and clinics so we can cure our own. Then when it comes to trade and commerce, brothers and sisters, you know, as a smart growth advocate, you think globally, you act locally, but you plan regionally. But we've got to be a global people. As Sister Nina pointed out, she's doing business in Africa. She's doing planning in Africa. And we are doing business everywhere. So people are coming from everywhere to buy up America, because America's for sale. And we've got to have, like our sister Wendy, Sajda Wendy Muhammad, who's renovating the home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You got to have the mind of an entrepreneur, not just an employee. We got to be employers, brothers and sisters. So I'm rolling. I'm trying to get this thing done quick. Defense.
Doing it.
Defense, sisters and brothers, there's 2 things we have to do. We have to defend ourselves, of course, against personal and property asymmetrical warfare, or those who would violate us personally or violate our community. But we also must guard ourselves against the calamities that are visiting America and will continue to visit as long as they're in power. So we got to learn in our defense ministry emergency management, which is mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. But as in terms of safety and security, it's prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Those are different, but one another, they protect you against hazards. And this is what our defense should be about. I'm just rolling through this thing. When it comes to justice, Islam considers justice the prime virtue. We've got to have people who do arbitration, mediation, and we have to be the ones who are the peacemakers. We have to be the ones that involved in conflict resolution. We don't need to be going downtown to anybody. We should be sitting down with the legal minds that we already have to adjudicate our own issues by laying the Quran or the Bible on the table or the Green Book, the restrictive laws of Islam. And remember, brothers and sisters, we believe in justice. We believe in justice for all, whether you're in God or not. So we have to make room for our brothers and sisters that aren't necessarily quote unquote Muslims. We got to give them justice too.
That's right.
And when it comes to arts and culture, brothers and sisters, look here. The black man and woman is the original man. And Minister Farrakhan, in giving a talk at the, it was in New York back in the 70s, he talked about we had to have a new kind of music, a new kind of culture. And this is what we have to have, but we're involved in all of the arts and cultures. And ultimately, if you see down at the bottom of the screen, you said, man, what's that down there? That's that Olympic symbol.
Yes,
and
that's
I
right.
see us on the winner's stand when we have our own nation. We got to have our own Olympic team, if there is such a thing, when we come to nationhood. I can see our people taking first, second, and third
In everything.
in everything. Praise be to Allah. And again, science and technology, brothers and sisters. Sister Nina was pointing out to you this innovation corridor. We want to make sure that we cover all three, basically, of the kind of trades. We got to not only have people that go to school for 4-year degrees and law school and professionals, but we got to have people who are in the blue collar industries. We got to have plumbers. We got to have carpenters. We have to have mason people. We have to have people that do sheetrock and all of that kind of work, roofers and all of that, sister and brother. But then we got to get into the green technology, as Sister Nina pointed out, the solar paneling, the alternative fuels and things of that nature, wind power and thermal power and all of those things. And we also need to be in what you call a silicone collar. We got to know artificial intelligence, microprocessing, robotics, and code. So all of that ties to the educational system. We have to literally be re-educated and retrained as the National Center is, but we can do this in Detroit or any place else. As Sister Nina was making the innovation corridor as portable, we can take it anywhere and do it.
That's right.
And when we do what we do, we can build a range of settlements with the talent and skill we have among us, from a rural area all the way up to urban core. We've got the skill sets to do it, sisters and brothers. The only question is, do we have the will to do it? And lastly, we can scale up, but we'll start with neighborhood planning. And this might, this is me and Ahmad, we're gonna be bean soup scientists. Did you know,
Yes,
my
sir.
brother? Did you know, my brother, that a neighborhood planning unit, my brother, is a half a mile in diameter?
Yes,
Sounds
sir.
like a mother plane to me. A half
Look
a
at that.
mile with your major thoroughfares outside your commercial properties. But I just want to lay on this just for a moment, if you will, brothers and sisters. If you notice in the center, you have, when the planners planned, when they studied, when Daniel Burnham did the plan for Chicago and the Magnificent Mile, they went and they studied what they call the Mesopotamian Model. What is that? What is Mesopotamia? That is what you might call Northeast Africa. It's where you call Asia Minor. It really is Asia. It's where we come from, brothers and sisters. They studied mosques, they studied temples, they studied synagogues, and that's at the center of the community.
Look at that.
And that being said, brothers and sisters, what they're simply saying is, in the daytime, elementary school is in the middle of your community. It serves for educational purposes in the daytime, but it serves civic purposes at night. And that's how they planned their neighborhood planning unit. All of that comes from the original man. Don't let anybody fool you. And when it came to setting up Medina, after they set up the mosque, they set up next to it the market, which was the souk, and they had quarters. So there was no integration. I see Sister Lorraine Muhammad, Brother Hafiz's queen, on the line. She has a black integration that's failed. But then everybody lived together in Medina. They had quarters for those who were the immigrants that came from Mecca, those who were the Ansars or the helpers that were there, and the different tribes, but they lived in quarters. So we don't all have to live together, but we can live around each other and have a real community. And then we scale up and up and up, and we can build modern cities with ancient roots. And we can have heaven on earth, not in the sky, brothers and sisters. And we can have gardens of perpetuity wherein rivers flow, not in the sweet by and by in the sky, but some sound on the ground while we're still around. We can build, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan teaches us, safe and decent places to live, worship, work, learn, and play. We can have that in Detroit or anywhere that we want to set up our nation. And so, finally, the elements of project management. You got to be able to manage your human resources, financial resources, your material resources, your time resources, and a fifth one you have to add in the information age, your data resources. May Allah bless you, sisters and brothers, and get that ministry in your mind. If you saw yourself in it, then study it. Go to the website, an NOI website, study it, look at your own resume, and say, this is what I want to do. I want to give to my nation. I don't want to sit on the bench no more. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. All praises due to Allah. Man, wasn't that powerful? That was powerful. Bro, Minister, you did an excellent job. And I think we get some credit in for brevity. You know, normally, you know, we get, no, we can't do it, but I think you represented the ministry class excellently. Got it over real quickly. I'm fired up. I'm fired up. And I can see faces. I can see faces. People ready to get up and do something for themselves. And you saw yourself maybe in there once or twice or maybe 3 times. You trying to figure out, how can I get involved in building something new? And as Brother Halim, as you were saying, brother, these with what's being done, this model can be picked up and lifted anywhere. This can be done. So we thank you so much, brother, for that presentation. And
so you went, brother minister, you went from visualization to organization, and now you're going to the man that's going to talk to you about implementation. I don't mean to go alignment on you, but it is what it is.
Right. Hey, aren't we blessed? Because we have this, the brothers talking about Brother Fahim, a design builder who's going to help us to begin to look at some of the necessary skill sets. This is, yes, visionary, but this is something that we can start ASAP right now. And we're going to have some things we're going to ask you to do before we dismiss, but let's go ahead and get our brother Fahim, who's going to let us know what are some of the necessary skill sets that we can get busy like right now. I'm excited. Go ahead, Brother Fahim.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I mean, technically, I'm quite taken, you know, with the presentation I've seen thus far tonight. I'm actually even a more firm believer in seeing the works of some of the believers throughout the nation. Sister Nina has said and done and presented a firm vision in terms of everything that we need to be doing and implementing in a long-term vision with a high-level approach. I mean, she's actually taken the air out of everything that I specifically wanted to say. So that's, I take my hats off to the sister. She talks about her stature, but her person is very large in terms of the resources and knowledge that she's able to implement to Brother Kamal Muhammad's project. And a vision for the nation as a whole. Brother Halim has capitalized it with pretty much letting us know that some of the skills that we have that have been emphasized by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the things that we need to be doing and the committees that need to be formulated, it's already been documented. We already have the skill sets there. So in terms of capping off what's pretty much already been said, is it's more so right now just implementation. You know, Brother Kamal's, he's articulated, he's shown the products that are currently available. He's spoken about the conditions that some of the properties are actually in and the location in which they actually are. And letting us know that there's more property out there. I think one of the things that he said was very captivating was, hey, basically we have homes that are pre-existing, but in addition to, based on some of the regulatory allowances that are in place in Hyde Park and other areas, if you have a pre-existing home, you can actually purchase a lot that's adjacent to that property for $1 or less. So that lets us know there is pre-existing properties, but there's a possibility that some of that dense level development properties that Sister Nina showed in her design implementation can be implemented on multiple lots throughout that location, whether it's in Hyde Park and other locations within the Detroit area. But with that being said, at this juncture, looking at a lot of the portfolio that Brother Kamal has articulated and communicated, we need individuals that can go inside these spaces and that can perform assessments on the pre-existing locations and tell us what are some of the deficiencies associated to those homes, and then give us a breakdown. What's the cost on plumbing? What's the cost on HVAC? What's the cost on electrical? What's the cost on coming back in and painting the exterior of the property or redoing the masonry associated to that property, and giving that specific end user who's interested in buying that property a more finite summation of the projected cost of that said investment. And if we're able to do that within a large scale, talking about the properties that are currently pre-existing, in addition to looking at some of the other properties that could be purchased, when we develop that committee of users, of folks who can go out and purchase the property, we can go out and do further assessment on some of the properties that are currently still out there. Let alone, we can also come back in and look at a lot of the land that's currently present and identify what specific types of products we can place on it, whether that's a single family, whether it's a multifamily in terms of being duplexes, or whether it's a multifamily development with actually having multiple doors. You know, we can define specifically where that actually goes and what the projected cost should potentially be, in implementing that throughout these said specific territories or neighborhoods or areas. So there's a lot that could be done, and there's a lot that still needs to be done. There needs to be a schedule tied to it. You know, we communicate and we say we want to roll out and do things. We need to create an agenda in terms of, hey, what are some of the key pivotal things that we need to implement first? Sister Nina's already articulated. The revitalizing certain standards within certain areas, coming back in with new laws, regulatory requirements, zoning requirements, controlling what takes place, controlling what we see and how we move through our neighborhoods and communities is very vital. So creating processes, procedures, policies that dictate what we see, how we see it, and how it maneuvers through our communities is extremely vital in laying out our neighborhoods and areas. So having those policies in place and then implementing those policies by putting up the products that we talked about. Once again, whether that's single family, multifamily, mixed use, there's a host of other products that we can roll out. And in addition to, if we actually have a larger green space, we can come back in with new urbanism type projects. New urbanism type projects is where we actually have large shopping centers that can be mixed use. You can work, live, play, and you can have green spaces to where our families and communities can get together on a Sunday or throughout the week, and we can control our shops and thoroughfares within a concentrated area, a concentrated marketplace. Like the sister said, there's things that we've done in the past, but we put a different twist on it. You know, the reality is, I say new urbanism, but you know, you look in Chicago, you look in New Jersey, you look in some parts of Houston, there are still pre-existing buildings that have retail and have multifamily on top, in addition to markets that are actually on the corners. as well as office spaces and industrial spaces that were actually tied to it. We need to be in a space to where we can go back in and implement that. So if they say new urbanism, they say a marketplace, I'm gonna say a bazaar. These are things that we have been doing for years, but it's wordplay. It's wordplay in terms of what they use and what they communicate, but we can re-implement that and we can paint the vision for these communities so
Yes.
that when our realtors, when our investors come in, they can articulate and communicate specifically the vision in which we will see. And then based off the concepts and ideas that Sister Nina and others have actually articulated and shown you thus far, we can come back in and communicate that to the masses and also show them the end product, the proposed end product of what it could potentially look like, but also putting a finite schedule to it and putting a finite budget to it so we know how to target getting the finances necessary to make these things happen. So, I mean, I would love to say more and I would love to capitalize, but you know, so much has been said thus far and there's still so much that should be done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Fahim. Thank you so much. And Sister Nina, Brother Kamal, Student Minister Halim. I'm overwhelmed, to be honest. And I can see, again, I can see many, many faces. We have been blessed tonight. We are doing very well on time. So we're going to go now and we have some announcements. Sister Donna, before.
Yes, sir. We're going to make the brief announcements because then we're going to move into, oh, I'm so excited because we have on the call with us this evening our student minister, Dr. Ava Muhammad, the
that's right. Our
spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And really, she's a great part of why we're here this evening because she kicked off the Project Separation Town Hall meetings in 2018. She heard the word and said, look, we got to move out on something. We got to do something. This can't just, you know, like the song says, throw it up, watch it all fall. It's past that time. So we're going to hear closing remarks from her before we go into prayer. We just wanted to give you some information because as we said before, tonight's presentation was a call to action. So we saw actual inventory available. Sister Nina presented us with, you know, very tangible models and conceptual, as I won't recap everything that Student Minister Aman just said, but we have a link that we're going to put in the chat. And we want you to click on that. That's a survey that will allow you to get in communications with some of the various presenters that you saw, as well as define what it is that you want to do. If you're interested in buying property in Detroit, if you're interested in community building and development, if you are interested in investing in Detroit. So you'll fill out this survey and then that way we can route it to, because again, as we said at the outset, 2022 is action time. We're having directed, focused movement. We're not talking anymore, we're doing. And then we're just going to show you just a couple of brief announcements here. I'm going to share my screen with you for that. I'm sorry, one moment. While I'm pulling up the screen, there we go. Are you able to see my screen? I don't know if you're able to see my screen. Okay, so this is our website, www.projectseparation.com. We encourage you to go. You can view the previous presentations. You can get information. You can also join our mailing list so that you can stay informed of what we have coming up, as well as receive additional information as we go along. And if you're interested in participating, connecting, please visit the website. Now, our presenters' websites. Go ahead and, I'm sorry, let me go back. Go ahead and screenshot this. Brother Kamal Muhammad, the Detroit Mecca project. You can see some of Brother Halim's work and information about his consulting business at nteplanning.com. Brother Fahim has his website, urbandb.net. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm getting thirsty. I haven't had my water yet as we're closing out. Please forgive me. But please visit the websites of our presenters. Also, visit www.ministerava.com. Stay in tune with what she has going on. She has so much going on. The master classes,
Yes.
the books, the teachings. You don't want, really a week shouldn't go past without visiting this website. And the new masterclass registration is up, and it's perfect timing for this presentation. It's open to men and women, and it's called The Third Force.
All right.
Release your power now or never. That's what we're talking about, right? It's
Yes.
now or never. And you can register at www.ministerava.com. And we're going to bring her forward, and I'm going to put in the chat the link that you can click on to go to the survey and then be able to fill it out when you leave this program this evening. So without any further delay, we'd like to present the closing remarks by Sister Student Minister Dr. Ava Muhammad.
Thank you so much, Sister Donna.
Yes. Yes.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praise is forever due. We thank him for his exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and their messenger Messiah, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak. Brothers and sisters, I first want to thank Sister Donna Muhammad and Brother Student Minister Aman Muhammad for moderating this amazing and timely program tonight, and our panel of experts who I took notes from each and every one, and I want to thank them all. Of course, my brother and colleague, Brother Kamal Muhammad, Sister Nina Shabazz, who blew me away with the level of communication at a high level, and yet it was so user-friendly and easy to envision and comprehend. And of course, my dear friend and godfather to my daughter Sherelle, Brother Student Minister Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad, whose productivity in the Nation of Islam is just legendary. And for bringing it all back and reminding us we have everything we need already. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I heard Brother Fahim Muhammad for the first time at part one of this particular presentation, and Sister Donna and I just couldn't stop talking about him, his elegance, his dignity. It just manifests to us that we have, and when we say nation, not just registered in the Nation of Islam, but the 40 to 60 million descendants of slaves here in America. And I just want to say to us very quickly, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has brought us from his teacher 3 principles that we were robbed of, not principles, I'm sorry, sciences that we were robbed of in slavery that are necessary to nation building. The science of mating, the science of business, and the science of war. And we are in a war now. All of the beautiful things we should be motivated by are enough that we should move out on making our own communities safe and decent places to live as a step toward separation. But it's necessary for survival. The current new issue of the Final Call newspaper, on the cover, executed. The police just shot and killed another Black man, and it was proven to us in this horrific death. He was shot in the back of his head after a traffic stop over a license plate. But he came here with his parents as a refugee from the Democratic Republic of Congo. So there's no difference between us as original people on this earth. We are being murdered. And so it is important for us to get up. What was given to us tonight, all we have to do is respond to it. these experts on our panel, and I know Brother Kamal doesn't like me to use expert, but they are experts. You all have worked hard and developed a powerful and profound expertise. And now tonight, those of you who are viewing this, you beloved brothers and sisters, you're on here because you see beyond the individual to the whole, the WHOLE whole, which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the minister, you must think for the whole. And this young man who was murdered, the latest in a long string, and that's what comes to the national attention. That's not all of the shootings, killings, kidnapping, the sex trafficking, this deadly vaccine. The list goes on and on. And please, I want to thank the editorial staff of the Final Call newspaper for bringing this truth week after week after week without fail. But I implore all of us to read the Final Call newspaper. And so with that, again, I can't thank the panel enough. I'm looking forward, Brother Minister Halim, to a summit, to a visit to Detroit. You know, we were there years ago. We've got to go back. That's the new Mecca. As Brother Kamal was given that idea in his mind by Allah, which he brought to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But this is the new Mecca. And Allah did allow that city to collapse for a reason, that we can have it returned to us. And don't forget about Motown. That's who I grew up on, Motown. So, no, we want it back. So may Allah bless us all. And I'm going to turn the microphone back to the moderators. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And thank you again for those beautiful words. And thank you all the participants who joined us. I have put the survey in the chat. When you click on it, it will open in a separate window. So make sure you click on it before you close out. And then sign up at the Project Separation website, and we'll make sure to send it to you too, just in case you miss it. So with that, we are going to close our program, and Brother Student Minister Amin will close us out in prayer. And I'm just so excited. Thank you all.
Absolutely,
Ramadan Mubarak.
That wherever you may be, let's position ourselves for prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman. Oh Allah, we beseech your help and ask your mercy. For we believe in you and trust in you for all that we do. For we are helpless and none cause without impossible. Please grant to us success. Ameen.
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 Let's sign up and separate.
Ameen. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan
Islam. Ramadan Kareem.